Okay, we're ready to go. We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order today. Really like to welcome our board members and also the general public who are joining our meeting today. Our meeting is being simultaneously translated into Spanish. Claudia, would you like to give them the instructions, please?
Yes, sir. Buenas tardes a todos, bienvenidos. Los servicios de interpretación en español van a estar disponibles de una manera simultánea en unos momentos. Ustedes van a notar en la parte inferior de su pantalla un globo terráqueo o un símbolo de mundo. Si pueden hacer un clic en ese icono y se les va a proporcionar la opción de elegir el idioma de inglés o español. Favor de elegir el idioma de español e inmediatamente ustedes pueden disfrutar de esta junta de una manera simultánea en español. Ahora, si están llamando por medio de su celular o una tableta, iPad, ustedes van a notar 3 puntos en la parte superior a mano derecha de su pantalla o inferior. Abajo de esos puntos existe una palabra que dice más o more. Hacer un clic en esa palabra y de nuevo se les va a lanzar el símbolo de mundo, otro clic, y se les va a otorgar la opción de seleccionar el español. E inmediatamente pueden escuchar esta junta en español. Muchas gracias. Estamos a sus órdenes. Thank you, sir. Back to you.
Thank you, Claudia. I really appreciate that. If you will join me now, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance to begin our meeting. There we go. All right, you join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America
and to
and to the republic
for
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That's tough to do when we're all online here. Okay, Josh, could you do the roll call for us this afternoon?
Yes, sir. Rachel Arizmendi. Don Cameron.
Here.
Janae DaCosta. Mike Gallo.
Here.
Linda Humiston.
Here.
Julia Jackson. Bryce Lundberg.
Here.
David Mancera.
Here.
Michelle Passero. Doria Robinson. Joyce Sterling.
Here.
Chris Valadez. All right, Mr. President, I believe we have Michelle Passero should be joining us soon.
All right, shall we just wait on approval of minutes, Josh, until we get a quorum?
Yes.
All right, we'll go ahead and move forward. And next item up is the departmental update, and the secretary will not be joining us for that. Josh, is that correct?
Correct. I do not see the secretary in attendance.
All right.
Your regards.
Okay, we will then move to the presentation to the board. We have a DPR staff presentation. The presentation is on the pesticide application notification system design and modifications to the proposed regulatory text. We have with us Randy Jimenez with the California Department of Pesticide Regulation. Welcome, Randy. Randy is a project manager at the California Department of Pesticide Regulation, where she collaborates with state and local agencies, as well as agricultural boards and environmental justice groups on developing a statewide pesticide notification network called Spray Days, and coordinates strategic planning across the agency. So Randy, we'll turn it over to you. I really appreciate you coming in and giving us this update. Glad to have you with us.
Thanks. So yeah, I will be presenting on DPR's Spray Day system. So good evening, everyone. So thank you for coming to this presentation on our statewide notification system. As Don said, my name is Randy Jimenez, and I'm the project manager on the notification system development team at DPR. So this presentation will include a summary of the development of the notification system, a demonstration of the Spray Day system, We'll have a little video in the middle and a summary of the proposed regulations to support the system. This is not part of a formal regulatory hearing, and this presentation won't be part of the rulemaking record. So just want to make that clear. And following DPR's presentation this evening, the state board will accept public comments to inform any comment it would like to deliver to DPR. However, comments made to the state board during this meeting will not be made to DPR and will not be part of the rulemaking record. And if you'd like to submit a comment to DPR on the proposed modified regulations to be included in the rulemaking record, please submit it by August 1st, 2024. So here we have DPR's contact information for comment submission. Comments can be provided to DPR by email, which is listed by email or by fax. And so I'll give everyone a few seconds on these informational slides to jot down any information you might need. If you don't want to use any of those methods to submit a comment, we're also accepting comments via our online portal, Smart Comment. And so here are some QR codes that you can scan to comment directly to DPR. I would like to note that all comments, regardless of how they are submitted by email, mail, fax, or using Smart Comment, they are all weighted equally. So at DPR, our mission is to protect people and the environment by fostering sustainable pest management and regulating pesticides. The statewide pesticide application notification system complements California regulatory framework for pesticides by providing transparency and equitable access to information before the legal application of pesticides. Restricted materials are a highly regulated category of pesticides because of their potential to introduce risks to people or the environment, and there are many regulations, conditions, and requirements governing the sale, possession, and use of restricted materials, including requiring applicators to be licensed and requiring an annual permit to possess or use a restricted material. So a quick timeline of the statewide notification system. DPR began development of the statewide pesticide application notification system in 2021 with funding from the state budget to provide the public with advanced information about pesticide applications. The department conducted a series of public webinars and workshops between 2021 and 2023 to collect feedback to inform the design and development of the system. Then in 2022, county agricultural commissioners in Riverside, Santa Cruz, Stanislaus, and Ventura counties volunteered to partner with DPR to conduct local pilot projects, which have further informed the development of the statewide pesticide application notification system. And then following these pilots, the UC Davis Center for Regional Change released an independent evaluation on the effectiveness of our pilot project. In addition, between October 2023 and February 2024, DPR conducted a small group beta test of the proposed statewide notification system in Tulare County. From the different forms of input, so we received feedback and input received from several public input opportunities since 2021. And those have informed many elements of the statewide notification system design. That includes what information on the intended pesticide application to include in the notification system, which is consistent with the state's existing restricted material permitting process. An anonymous search function that allows users to search for pesticide application information without providing personal information. A subscription function that allows users to receive emails and text message notifications when an application is planned near a specific address, and users may sign up to receive the information from multiple addresses, and that this information will be provided in Spanish and English at the time of launch. We also include a public website and visual mapping tools that are easy to use on mobile devices, a user-centered design with graphic and visual content, and information on community health and resources for finding more information on pesticide safety and health impacts from pesticide exposure. So this isn't an inclusive list of all public comments and public input received, but I wanted to provide some key examples that have informed the development of the regulation and also the design of our system, Spray Days California. So next, to provide a more visual overview of the system and design capabilities, I'm going to show a brief video demonstration of the system we beta tested in Tulare County earlier this year. The design of the system itself is not a regulatory requirement, and we're still in development, but we wanted to share what we are working towards as we near system implementation statewide early next year. And Josh is going to play the video in English for me, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second.
Over the past few years, the California Department of Pesticide Regulation has been developing a statewide pesticide notification system called Spray Days California. Spray Days is the proposed web-based system in development by DPR to provide information to the public in advance of restricted material pesticide applications that are regulated by California. Here's a demo of the proposed system. We will begin by showing how users can search for information about an intended agricultural application of restricted material pesticides near a specified California address. We'll start by entering an address here. Once entered, you'll be able to view any planned agricultural applications of restricted material pesticides within a 1 square mile area surrounding the address. This area is called a section. By clicking on a section, you can see additional details about any upcoming applications in that section. Information on the currently proposed system includes the scheduled application dates and times, the name of the products to be used, their active ingredients, the application method, the number of acres to be treated, and the product's EPA registration number. You can also zoom out and view any planned applications in other counties and sections across the state. Next, we will show you how you can sign up to receive an email or a text message to tell you when a pesticide application is planned near an address that you enter. To sign up, you'll need to enter a California address. You'll also enter either a phone number or an email address where a notification can be sent. No other personal information is required. You can also select which language, Spanish or English, that you prefer. Once you sign up, you'll receive a confirmation email or a text message. You will then receive an email or text message 24 hours in advance of planned restricted material applications and 48 hours in advance of restricted materials called fumigants. You can add up to 10 addresses to each email address or phone number and change preferences or unsubscribe at any time. The Spray Days website also includes other information, such as an information page with answers to commonly asked questions like, what is a restricted material and what does intended date and time mean, or how are pesticides regulated in California? There's also a community health page with information on how to report a pesticide incident and what to do if you're exposed to a pesticide. The system is currently in beta testing, which means DPR is still working out technical bugs and making sure the platform is ready to launch statewide. For more information on the system's development, please visit DPR's website at www.cdpr.ca.gov.
Thanks, Josh, for playing that. Moving on to an overview of the regulation that was proposed in November of last year. The regulation will require electronic submission of select information from notices of intent, or NOIs, to DPR, and will require DPR to make the information it receives publicly available. NOIs, which are part of the state's restricted material permitting process, are currently submitted to and must be approved by the local county agricultural commissioner before a restricted material pesticide can be used. This regulation will require the statewide implementation of a pesticide application notifications system. You can use this QR code to access all of the rulemaking information. In addition, all the information on the proposed regulation and its modifications can be accessed through DPR's website.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. The following will be an announcement for our Spanish-speaking participants. De nuevo, buenas tardes. Para
Carlos, I can hear you.
simultánea al español para hacer uso de la misma. Después de este
So,
aviso.
Following the release of the proposed regulation in November 2023, DPR received public comments on the proposed regulatory text. The regulation was modified based on the comments received during that comment period, and DPR is currently holding an open comment period on these modifications to the proposed regulation. So the proposed modifications include amending the evaluation and review of the system, which was initially proposed as occurring 3 years after launch, to require DPR to annually receive feedback from and provide a status update to the department's Environmental Justice Advisory Committee, the California Department of Food and Agriculture State Board, and the public, until DPR issues a comprehensive report on the system 3 years after the regulation becomes effective. To clarify that restricted materials, pesticides that are subject to 24 and 48-hour reporting requirements, clarifying that DPR will make publicly available pesticide product names and active ingredients, clarifying the effective date for the implementation of the system. Oh, sorry, that was very quick. Give you guys a second. Catch up. So as a reminder, this meeting is not part of the rulemaking record, and comments shared with the state board today will not be part of DPR's record of comments on this proposed modified regulation. So if you would like to make a comment to DPR on the proposed modified regulation text for inclusion in the rulemaking record, please submit your comments to DPR by email, by mail, or by fax. Or you can scan this QR code to access our online comment portal and upload your comments there directly. For our next steps, we will receive public comment on the revised language through August 1st, 2024. We will finalize the regulation in December 2024 and continue to develop and refine the system design of Spray Days California. And we will begin statewide implementation in the first quarter of 2025. So thank you. I hope this presentation will help inform your comments. Sorry about her. If you have any questions, you can email them to dpr23003@cdpr.ca.gov. So thank you again, and I will pass things off back to Josh.
Well, Randy, I really appreciate your presentation. Before we get into questions from our board, need to kind of put you on hold for a minute, if we could, and we need to pass the minutes now that we have a quorum. Kind of back up a little bit. So you were mailed or emailed the June 4th minutes. We need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
And a second. Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on the minutes? If not, all those that approve signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition?
Aye.
Okay, we passed. All right.
Sorry, Don, unfortunately
We have to do roll call. Sorry.
Yes, my apologies.
That's fine, Josh. That's kind of a difficult thing to do here.
Perfect. Don Cameron.
Aye.
Sinead DaCosta.
Present.
Vote on minutes.
Oh, aye on minutes.
Here. Mike Allen.
Aye.
Linda Hewison.
Oh, aye.
Julia Jackson.
Aye.
Bryce Lumber.
Aye.
David Mancera.
Aye.
Michelle Becerra,
Aye.
Joyce Sterling,
Aye.
Chris Valendes.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I know it's a little cumbersome over the internet here. All right. So what we'd like to do is go ahead and open it up for discussion from our board. If we have questions, either raise your hand or just wave and we'll acknowledge you and we'll move forward. So I've got a question for you, Randy. You know, what do you do? I mean, let's say it's submitted on the weekend. How does that work? Does it automatically? How do you get the approval and then sending out the notice? Is it all automated to some point after somebody reviews it, or just curious?
Yeah, so Pen, my boss, would like to answer the questions. So he's asking Josh to please make him a panelist so that he can help answer the questions. Josh, can we do that?
Yes, Ken is now. Perfect.
Okay, so Don, I'll let Ken answer your question.
All right, thank you. Ken, you there?
Yes, hello, everybody. Nice to meet you, everybody. So just so everybody's aware, I'm Ken Everett. I'm the Assistant Director over an enforcement program as well as the project lead on this system. To answer your question there, Don, it is an automated system. So when a grower submits their NOI to Cal Ag Permits or Agrian or whatever, the systems are connected and that should come straight through. There are a few exceptions. Some of the counties require like a 96-hour NOI for some of the fumigations, so they have some additional time to review that system. The system will not post that information until the legal required 48 hours comes into play. Again, the system is designed to have the NOI on the system available for people to click on for the period up to the start time of the application, the proposed start time. And then that information will go away. At least the little bubble, this indicates this is a new NOI. There's also if you click on that section later on, you know, everybody knows we have a 4-day window for an application to start under an NOI. So that information will still be there after that time frame. But you know, then once that 4 days gets to that, or once we get to that 4-day mark, then all that information comes up.
Excellent. What about unverified addresses in the countryside? How do you handle that, Ken? I don't know if you're the one to answer that, but
Yeah, I mean, the information is whatever. I guess you're assuming if somebody wants an address or wants information for an address or surrounding a particular address, they're going to have to provide us an address. The system only can do so much there. So if you're talking about an unverified, there's really nothing for us to screen that out. If they put in 1001 I Street, for instance, you know, the system will identify that because through the Bing's map system that we are using. So whatever information is in Bing's, that's the information we will have.
okay. All right.
Bryce has a question.
Thank you. Bryce, go right ahead.
Oh, thank you, Don, and thank you, Randy, and thank you, Ken. Yeah, I appreciate the goals of this program, safety, confidence in our programs and our systems in agriculture here in California, transparency. I think those are all good goals. And but I was wondering that as good and maybe positive as programs intend to be, you know, could this be detrimental or harmful to farmers? And so I just had a few questions just to try to kind of improve my level of confidence in that. Could you remind me what is driving this program? is it statute or is it internal DPR kind of goals and program?
With a legislative directive.
Very good. How many states in the United States have similar type of program?
None. We will be first.
And as we are in many programs regulating California farmers, do you think this would put California farmers at an advantage or disadvantage, or would be neutral relative to kind of the impact to California farmers?
It's difficult to say at this point. I don't think it'll put them at a disadvantage or an advantage. I think it'd probably be more of a neutral. Again, the purpose of the system is to be transparent. And that was the whole goal of this system. Excuse me for just a second. I need to shut my door. Apologize for that. But then again, it is a neutral scheme again, and then that's also part of the evaluation process. So, again, we'll be evaluating this program for a while after it launches to see if there's, what impacts do occur out there.
Will farmers be notified who accesses the data on their parcels and as far as just farmers' data can be accessed, but can farmers then find out how many times their data is being accessed and who is accessing, whether it's kind of Acme legal or in-state or out-of-state, if it's an interested consumer or if it's a competitor?
So first, let me clarify, the system does not identify grower or grower information. It does not provide site information or anything like that. It only puts it at the section level. Okay. So any further information would have to be submitted to the commissioners under the Public Records Act. You may not be, or you may be aware that all NOIs are considered public records. And so that is all accessible by the public. But again, the system is limited on what information it actually provides.
Yeah, so it is anonymous, but my expectation is it will not be anonymous. That if people inquiring will know and will find out. And is there a way to find out who is accessing? And so when the records are accessed at the county level, there is a record of who accesses them and what they saw. And will this system have a similar opportunity for finding out who accesses them? And
it would only be through the IP address, I believe, and I would have to talk to my designers on that actual specific question.
Yeah, I'm aware that already every notice of intent, every notice of application is a public record, but I think generally speaking, my ag commissioner lets us know when they're accessed and can let us know who accesses them. And it would be nice if this system had a similar kind of, it's a two-way thing for a grower to know who is and how often. It's just as much transparency to the grower as it is for the consumer or the public. And I think that just would be a nice touch for the grower to feel like they have that ability to know how often and who. Certainly as a consumer brand, I have no idea, it's not even close to being able to know what's going on in other states. But for those kind of brands that are based in other states, to be able to find out this sort of information is and how easy it is, it would just be good to know from a grower perspective who's accessing, because this makes it easier to access, which is not bad. It is good, Ken, but just a point of view. Thank you for that engagement, Ken.
Thank you, Bryce. Do we have any? Oh, Michelle? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the presentation. Kind of have a related question. You mentioned that you'll be evaluating the program, and can you elaborate just like how you will evaluate effectiveness?
I think that's part of the comment period. So unfortunately, I can't really answer that question at this time. Sorry about that. But I'll just, other than saying that we will be evaluating it, and we'll be looking at various metrics too. But, you know, unfortunately, I can't go into much detail at this point.
Okay.
And Chris?
Thank you, Don, Ken, and your team. Thanks for the presentation. I'm just curious of your thoughts. I understand, a value of transparency, but given NOI, public access, I presume, right, within this process, we anticipate members of the public to file concerns, right, where they see a notice of intent that's of concern to them. So I'm trying to understand within this process of a member of the public filing a challenge, how are you, what are your thoughts about how the department's reconciling a public interest with what might be also, the farm's interest to ensure that they are, utilizing the process as judicious, as responsible, and as is appropriate, insofar as to ensure that they're doing their job to produce food. Like, how are you kind of balancing, if at all, an interest that may arise from the public given a concern, and then through the ag commissioner and or an appeal process, as I think I might be understanding to you, how do you do so in a way while being sensitive to timeliness here, as you can obviously know or imagine with an array of crops where you don't have a lengthy amount of time within which to mull or reconsider other treatment options when you need to stick to your schedule in order to ensure you can best produce a high quality, marketable, safe, and nutritious crop for California consumers or other consumers. Like, how are you kind of thinking of reconciling these demands, which in some cases will be competing?
So we're going to be conducting training. We're working on it right now for the commissioners on doing permit reviews. When you get a challenge like that, we are required by law to do, the commissioners start the process to do that permit review. And then the person has the right to appeal to the department. I will say that the commissioner does not have the authority to stop an application under a permit review. However, the department does. And so the timeframes they're talking about there are probably going to be outside the window of when an NOI would expire anyways. So I don't see a big issue there. I do see an issue with increased permit reviews probably. I will say though, beforehand, even before this system has gone into place, we're already seeing a major increase in that. So I don't think that they're even going to be associated. We're already seeing it for other reasons at this point.
All right, Joy.
Thank you very much. Do you, I appreciate this discussion very greatly, but Ken, do you envision a situation that a farmer gets somehow targeted unfairly?
Well, I can't say I've really, I guess there's always that possibility for some reason. But at this point, again, this goes back to the evaluation of the system when that time comes. If it becomes where that's an issue, we will have to take a look at that scenario.
Well, that's a little bit after the horse is out of the barn.
Well, I mean, yeah, there is, there's only so much we can do in those situations. There are legal rights that people can do as long as they're following, those requirements.
Thanks, Ken. Janae?
Thank you. Randy, thank you very much for the presentation, and Ken for the time for answering the questions.
given that the system will just show a period of roughly about 4 days and then it goes away and expires, what would be the process for the community to understand if a new application came in because there was a weather delay, or and to really sort of sync that view of the permit versus the notice of intention? And then also second question, within the system, is there a hyperlink for the label of the restricted material or instructions on how they should actually interact with the EPA website so they can understand how things would be, how an active ingredient might be used?
Let me ask the second question first. Yes, there is that information. There's also going to be a link with NIPIC. We're working with NIPIC to help address any kind of issues or concerns people may have, so they can call them. There is going to be access to our label database system and things of that nature. So yeah, a lot of that information is on there. It's on one of the hyperlinks that are like under the EPA number, I believe it is. If you click on that, it should take you to the additional information for of the product. Now, as far as basically if an NOI was to expire and they were not able to make that application and they had to resubmit an NOI, the system will automatically update that and put that new NOI in. Okay, so that will be, even though, and we posted on there that to try to make it as clear as possible to make people realize not all applications are going to occur. You know, there's a lot of different reasons why an application may not happen, weather, equipment failure, whatever. So there's a lot. So we're trying to make that very clear to people that just because there's an NOI doesn't necessarily mean there's an application too. So I think there's some more education we'll have to do over time on that as people start looking at and becoming aware of it. But again, we're trying to make that very clear. But basically, yes, once a new NOI is submitted, that new information will come up. So the commissioners will have the one area that might be a little of concern is if the commissioner has to make a adjustment to the NOI for whatever reason. We're working on a way to take off the old NOI and bring in the new one, but that's programming stuff, and so that might take a little time for us to work on.
So Ken, if a application submitted as an NOI and it doesn't get applied, then and you go beyond the scope or the limit of time, then you'll resubmit as you would with as we do now. And then you would see 2 applications for the same product, same
there is
acres.
Of the system doing that right now, and we're looking at that because mostly what you would see in that situation is if the commissioner asked you to make an adjustment to your NOI for whatever reason and resubmit the new NOI, current system would not take it down the old one yet, and that's because of the functionality between the commissioner system and our system and how it communicates. It's usually right now it's a one-way traffic, so we get every hour we get the information updated. So we're working on trying to figure out a way or the systems can communicate with each other and we can take that down. But that's going to take some time. That probably won't happen right away. So there might be that situation. But if the first NOI flat out expires because you have not been able to make that application and you need to resubmit, that old information will be gone and the new information will come.
No matter what the reason being, correct, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We don't identify why the application did not occur or anything like that.
Right, okay.
Jan, kind of a follow-up on that in terms of the text messaging system. So anyone who signed up for a text message is getting a notification every time something is happening to an NOI. So if an NOI is posted and then is amended, they're getting 2 text notifications, one for the posting, one for the amended. If one is posted for use and it expires within 4 days because it was not able to be executed, and a new one is established, another NOI is issued, and another text message is being sent out to everyone that's subscribed.
That's correct.
Okay.
And basically, the text notification just basically tells them that a new NOI has been submitted, essentially.
It doesn't mention that the first one was never applied. It just, so they're getting multiple
They can
notices of NOI.
It can be.
Isn't that a little confusing or a little frightening, I would think, for somebody? without being able to clear out the past one?
That's something we're looking at. That's one of the things we're trying to address.
Yep. It'd be really helpful if you guys could clear that up before the program comes out. Ken?
We'll see. I think some of it's programming on the supplier end and ours. So we're working with them.
All right. Do we have other questions? Joy?
Chris had his hand up before me.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Don. Ken, I'm trying to understand the appellate process a little more clearly. So it sounds NOI submitted, reviewed by the Ag Commissioner. I'm going to presume in this case it's approved. The application, farmer wants the application to go forward, yet an appeal is filed to you. Can that application go forward? Because I think I heard you identify the Ag Commissioner doesn't necessarily stop it, but they do provide value judgment based on sufficiency of the reasons behind the NOI. And if it were to go forward and there's still an appeal that's pending before you, and we're thinking of timeliness considerations here, then what are you reviewing? You're reviewing then what the sufficiency of the Ag Commissioner's determination to approve the application to move forward. I'm trying to understand kind of what within this process stops an application or doesn't.
Yeah, at this point. So a person who wants to have a permit evaluated or reviewed has to go to the commissioner first. He or she has a time frame in order to be able to do that evaluation. Then they submit their findings to the person who asked for the review. They also have the ability, that person then has the right to appeal that review to the department. Okay. And so this is not likely to happen overnight, just because of the review processes that we have to go through and the commissioners. Can be a lengthy process, quite honestly. And so again, it's on the merits. It depends on the merits of what the request is for, why they are having concerns with whatever, maybe the permit or the application. There's a lot of different reasons. So the scenarios are probably too vast to even kind of go into. But there is a process by which, it's a due process, essentially. Starts with the commissioner. They have the time to do their review of the evaluation, submit their findings to that person, and then that person then has the right to appeal to us, to the department, and then we do our.
Joy, we're going to take your question. You'll be the last one, then we'll need to go to public comment.
Thank you very much, Don. My question is there a date for this to be rolled out, even though there are admitted bugs still to be worked through?
No. I mean, we're looking to try to do it sometime the first quarter of next year at this point. And then we're anticipating that there'll be some things we'll still have to continue to fix as time goes by. So we're in the testing phase right now for a lot of different things, and we'll be continuing on that testing for the rest of the year. And there's constant adjustments we're making. But we don't have a specific date.
All right, we're going to go ahead, Ken, and Randy, we're going to go ahead and open this up for public comment at this time. We don't want to belabor the point, but because I know we have quite a few people online. So we'll go ahead and open it up. Josh, could you check for public comment on this agenda item?
Yes, if you'd like to make public comment on this agenda item, please use your hand icon and I will unmute your line. I have Gabrielle Ludwig, you will be first, and Isabella Kinos, you will be on deck. Gabriella?
Yes, thanks for taking my question. I have two different questions. One is I'm a little unclear for the notice of intent for restricted use compounds. How much of this is just for field applications, or how does it deal with, for example, post-harvest fumigant uses or things like that? Does it apply to that? It's not clear to me from the language. And then the other question is, coming back to one of the, I think, initial questions from one of the board members, is really, what is the intention of this law? You talk about transparency, but I'm still trying to figure out if I live near, an application, what do I do with the information? It could happen over 4 days, so I'm just trying to think, what are DPR's expectations, what people will do with the information? So that's my second question. My first question is really just a clarification of to what restricted use compounds does this apply, or situations does this apply? Are there restricted use scenarios to which this does not apply?
This will apply to production agriculture. And only to restricted materials. So ag production, so basically, production agricultural restricted materials.
So that would cover, I think Gabrielle was heading toward, fumigation of almonds after harvest, but prior to hulling and shelling. That would be you would have a notification on that as well. Is that correct, Ken?
That's on the site. If they're doing it on the actual farm itself, under that particular situation, it would. However, if it's taken to a site like a huller, that's an industrial site, essentially, so that would not apply in that situation.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Isabella, your line is open.
Hi, Isabella Quinones with the California Farm Bureau. Thank you to everyone for taking some time to talk about these issues. Ken, appreciate your time. Kind of building off of Gabrielle's comment, we do find it frustrating a bit that the department has, is kind of only using agricultural use of restricted use pesticides for public notification. And that, structural, regulatory pest control, fumigation, landscape maintenances, industrial use, which are very commonly used. From what I understand, they are not included in this. So, we're very concerned about that. And, I think like a few other people have mentioned, we do find that the state and the department have a duty to protect, our farmers and our ag employees, and their sensitive information getting out, but while upholding, transparency. So that is a very big concern of ours. We're happy to continue working with you guys on this. We've had a presence at both of the in-person public hearings, but yeah, I think we have the same concern as well as Gabrielle that, we're not exactly sure what the public is supposed to do with this information and don't feel like it necessarily increases overall safety. We would love to see further safety measures in approving, safer products. We're completely on board with that. So yeah, thank you for your guys' time.
Thank you, Isabella. Adam, California Fresh Fruit Association.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments during today's meeting. The California Fresh Fruit Association appreciates the modifications to the regulatory proposal by the Department of Pesticide Regulation. CFFA continues to be concerned about comments that have been raised at several of the public workshops and hearings by certain commenters demanding precise farm location information as part of the notification. It is important to note that this statewide notification proposal is not occurring inside of a vacuum. The ag industry, stakeholders, and community have been developing safe and scientifically sound pest management practices and noticing protocols for decades. California should be proud and should have full confidence in the federal, state, and local oversight of pesticide use enforcement. Moving forward, the California Fresh Fruit Association requests the following. That notification should be limited to pesticide products that are already subject to notices of intent. timeframes to submit these NOIs to county ag commissioners should remain as they are in current practice. Public notifications should only include what information is absolutely necessary, such as the product applied, intended date and application, time of application, and general geographical location. Personal identifying information such as acreage treated or exact location of farms or businesses should not be included. This is especially critical for the safety of growers and applicators and employees. And because of the high probability that advance notice could trigger appeals of NOIs and stall applications of pesticides, CFFA requests that DPR should prepare for these administrative burdens, act quickly to protect growers' right to farm, and also prepare for extended liability for crop losses that occur as a result of missed applications of products. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Danny Merkley?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to comment. And I do realize that this is not part of the rulemaking record. So further comments will be submitted to take care of that. I am Danny Merkley, and I'm with the Gualco Group, representing the California Association of Wine Grape Growers. I'd like to begin by thanking the board for your continued engagement. It's greatly appreciated. Unfortunately, though, DPR seems to have rejected some of the board's counsel. Nonetheless, we appreciate the board's continued commitment to collaboration and working with DPR to address concerns. With collaboration in mind, we continue to ask for some of the following. A notification system is misleading when it tells the public that something is going to happen and then it never corrects the record when nothing happens, when an application doesn't occur. And I understand, Ken, you said you're trying to work on that, but it would seem prudent to have those types of things fixed before this goes out and potentially causes some havoc. So we cannot support creating a database that misleads the public. Additionally, DPR's current proposal is akin to the Great Recession in 2008. That recession was in large part sparked by poor data quality and risk assessment. DPR's current proposal would create a database that is inaccurate and unreliable. Californians would then assess their personal risk based on the information DPR is providing. So, as a matter of public trust, shouldn't we all want to get this right first before it rolls out? So to achieve this, we ask that DPR remove any notification if the application never really happened. We have asked that DPR adjust the system so that when a spray is planned but doesn't occur, that notification is taken down. This way it would reflect what has actually happened. And I know Bryce and some others have already mentioned this. So just want to reiterate some of the concerns from COG. We've also notified DPR that notification should be through a listserv of neighbors and not on an internet website for folks that may be thousands of miles away, hundreds of miles away. Finally, again, for the purpose of risk assessment, we have asked that the notification include a disclaimer that the spray is authorized by DPR and deemed safe when the grower follows manufacturer's instructions or the label. Thank you. And again, thank you for the opportunity to weigh in here on behalf of California Association of Wine Grape Growers.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Danny. Vanessa Forsyth, you're next. And your line is unmuted. Vanessa?
Hi, my name is Vanessa Forsyth, and I'm a school nurse And I am concerned about the communities that are impacted by the application of pesticides. We are asking for exact location to indicate it in terms of only, what's specified now, 1 mile, without specific information as to the site location. It is not sufficient to protect the people who live in the communities surrounding these applications. As well as I really do not understand how having exact locations, the comment previously made, would impact the safety of employees and appliers. This does not seem clear. So again, our concern is that for community protection, so people can be notified what they need to do to protect themselves when fumigants that drift are applied, that we have information regarding the exact location. So if you can answer my question as to what are the risks to employees in terms of indicating exact location, I would appreciate that too.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And Caden, your line is unmuted. Anne?
Yes, good afternoon. This is Ann Catton from California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation. In over 30 years of work, I've reviewed many pesticide episode investigations in detail, and including many of those could have been prevented by notification. Rural residents want and need notification about pesticide applications that includes exact location so they can avoid potential exposure to pesticide drift and illness at home, work, and school by keeping windows closed, bringing in toys and washing, and rescheduling or rerouting outdoor work, runs, walks, and bike rides when they know that restricted pesticides are planned to be applied close by. Some of these people understandably would not be comfortable disclosing their identity to their landlord, their employer, or their nearby neighbor, and they should not have to do so. Some also may need someone else to check information for them due to limited literacy or other barriers to accessing the information. Agricultural operations and ag commissioner offices will also benefit, I think, from pesticide notification because worker illnesses and incident investigations will be prevented. Notification will really be a win for everyone, but it needs to be site-specific to be useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
And our next speaker is identified as iPhone guest. Your line is unmuted.
Yes. Hello. My name is Noemi Chico, and I'm a member of Safe Ag Safe Schools. And my comment is that we need exact location. I understand that you guys are trying to say that, oh, we're going to go and make ruckus. We're not. Trust me, we want to get as far away as we can. I'm from Greenfield. I commute all the way to Salinas, sometimes Monterey. I work in schools, various ages, kindergarten through 6th and 9th grade through 12th. So I'm in various locations. I drive through all Soledad, Chular, all those towns, Gonzales, and they're all fields everywhere. Most of our schools are surrounded by fields. We want to be informed exact location because we don't want to be near. We know what that causes. It causes asthma, it causes cancer. We don't want to be next to the fields. We're not going to go and make a ruckus about, oh my God, stop this. That's not what we're trying to do. Please stop saying that what's going to happen. We're going to go and make ruckus. We're not. Trust me, we're not. We're minorities, not because we're people of color. We are going to make ruckus. We're not. Please, exact location. That's the least you guys can do. Respect our people, our community, our campesinos. We're here to protect ourselves, our community. Please, exact location. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, I just want to mention, and nobody has really gone over on time, but 3 minutes, just so everybody's aware, 3 minutes or less. Please, we get as many comments in as possible.
Right. And our next speaker, and I apologize, Alexia, your line is unmuted.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Alexia Rangel. I am a co-founder of Future Leaders of Change. I don't get why you guys are making it difficult to be able to enter in the meeting. We will not be silenced, and all of this is environmental racism. We need exact location. You guys are making excuses saying it will cause fear and confusion. We already live in fear, knowing that these pesticides affect our communities. I am 15 years old and my high school is surrounded by fields. I am afraid to be affected by pesticides around me. This system will not work if it will just tell me it's by a square mile. We need to know exactly where it is, and you know yourself that it can be done. So don't waste all this money for it not to function. Do your job right the first time, because otherwise you are setting it up for failure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yamli Martinez, your line is unmuted.
Yes, so thank you for the space. Again, I want to echo what Alexia just mentioned. It was really hard for a lot of us to be able to connect with this password and whatnot. Again, I am Yandeli Martinez. I am the community organizer, proud community organizer with Safe Ag, Safe Schools, also a mother of 4 and a Greenfield City Councilwoman. And so I've heard a lot of the questions that, what is this going to do for the community? What are we going to do with this information? Well, let me tell you, for those that have been asking, this information, this crucial information is going to show me, and it's going to give me the ability to protect myself. If I know that there's going to be an application near the school of my children, near my place of work, also near my home, I am going to shut the windows. I am not going to let my child go out, my child who's asthmatic. I'm going to make sure that my father, who is a senior citizen as well and is going through some health issues, not go for his usual walk that day. That is exactly what we're going to do with this information. And for this to be called out as a burden for some folks, this is already a burden for us, because we, the community of color in rural communities, up and down not only the Central Coast, but the Central Valley, are constantly being affected. We see what pesticides, the damage that it has caused to our communities. So this is no longer a need, a demand. It is a human right. And I hope that answers your questions for those folks that have been asking. Again, this is a human right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Yanni.
Robert Sisson, your line is unmuted. Robert?
If one of the goals of the program is improvement of human health, there seems to be a missing component to the system. The risk of unintended offsite exposure is really dependent on weather, wind direction, speed, humidity, presence or absence of inversion layer has a huge amount to do with the actual risk to a particular surrounding location. Does the system have a way to collect actual conditions at the time of application?
Yeah, I'll just say, Robert, I know that all of that is part of the application record and conditions for use.
Thank you.
Taylor Ocean, your line is unmuted.
Good evening, board chair and members. Taylor Roshan on behalf of a variety of agricultural associations. Thank you so much for facilitating a appropriate venue for growers to provide input on this important regulations. And thank you to Mr. Everett for his presentation. I want to reiterate the comments made by Mr. Borchard and Mr. Merkley and highlight a point about potential impacts of exact location disclosure. The Monterey notification system has already felt the impact of appeals halting applications, and Mr. Everett commented about the increased prevalence of appeals. Moreover, the new appeals provisions that were just approved in AB 2113 this year eases and hastens the propensity for appeals of notices of intent. From the department specifications, the public notification system is not a health protective measure, but rather is meant to facilitate a public right to know. All pesticides before registration are reviewed for use and safety, and ag commissioners can expand on that position. To that end, whether the application is occurring within a mile or 1,000 feet, pesticide laws already incorporate public safety. So I encourage the department to reiterate during implementation, this is meant not to improve public health, but for a public right to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor.
Kathleen and Woody, your line is unmuted.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Kilpatrick. I live in the Pajaro Valley in Watsonville. And I have lived in ag communities for most of my adult life. I also have a long background in healthcare, including the study of occupational and environmental health and working on a risk assessment study of children of pesticide applicators in the orchards of Eastern Washington. I've been involved with this issue of notifications since it was proposed and being kind of plotted out for the schools. And at that time, DPR told us, the people from DPR told us, well, the goal of this is to facilitate communication between schools and the neighboring growers. And instead, the neighboring growers now are telling us, we don't want you to know anything about us. That confuses me because the communication of like, okay, we're having a play day on Saturday. Can you postpone your application until after that's over? That's a community good that benefits the people who are in that community and the growers who have good relationships with their neighbors. Yeah, in Santa Cruz and Monterey County, we get maps of our schools and the fields around them. We get lists of the pesticides that are going to be applied. Of course, those are daunting to look at, but agriculture has not been stopped by those sharing of information for us. So I don't understand what the big fear is on the part of growers, other than, yes, they believe that these chemicals are safe and have been vetted, but current science and the experience of the people living in these communities has shown that that may not be the case. The review process is faulty. The communication systems are not good. So yes, people want to know and be ensured that they can have some agency in protecting themselves. It's not a matter of being out to get the agricultural growers. I can say that one of the benefits that we've seen in a few places in our community is that some of the farmers who grow next to schools have converted some of those fields to organic agriculture, and that's wonderful. We would like to see more of that. Yes, we will continue to work for more conversion of fields close to schools, homes, and other public places to the least harm form of agriculture, which is a thriving industry in California. So I would say fear on both sides. It doesn't really foster a positive interaction. And so I'm just looking for some way for people to kind of open up their minds and their hearts to see that, we need to do better communication in this. And this notification project is aimed toward helping people to feel safe where they live. So Put down your profit and whatever motivations and look at the lives that some of your workers are living and their families, and you know, have some compassion. That's what I'd like to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Isabel Ramirez, your line is unmuted. Isabel Ramirez. Moving to Raul Garcia. Raul Garcia, your line is unmuted.
Oh, hello?
Yes.
Hello, yes. My name is Raul Garcia, and I'm a community organizer in Tulare County with Californians for Pesticide Reform. I just came here to, well, I guess one point that I heard that I didn't really think about, at least me personally. But yeah, I think informing people when a spray or an application is not happening, I think that would be a good idea. But then more urgently though, after speaking with people who participated in the pilot program, as well as other folks in these rural communities, they would like to know things like the exact location for these applications. Their intent to know the exact location is actually to disseminate confusion so that they know, you know, where not to go or what places to avoid, or, you know, it allows them to, you know, plan their day, plan their route as well. So they're doing this so that they can avoid, you know more accurately what places in their communities to avoid. Not so with something like a square mile, that's too vague, and then that could be giving people who might not be affected by this application, you know, information about it when, you know, normally if they're given exact location, then they probably wouldn't, right? Or they probably wouldn't be as concerned about it because they know, oh, it's over there, I'm over here. And, you know, we can give our you know, our community members, you know, the chance for them to, you know, do something about it. Not really in the sense of like getting out there to interrupt, you know, the applicator, but more so just they can, you know, make the adjustments within their own lives as well. So that's mostly why they want the exact location. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raul.
Angel Garcia, your line is unmuted. Angel.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the Angel Garcia, Californians for Pesticide Reform. Today, you know, as a father of three, I'm really here to emphasize the critical need for a site-specific notification system because people want to protect their health, plain and simple. The trespassing concern has been framed incorrectly. The real trespassing is from the pesticides themselves. They invade our homes, our bodies, our schools, and communities. And so it is preposterous to hear the mere suggestion that any degree of trespassing or violation of privacy rights when it comes to safeguarding public well-being. A notification system would give community members a chance to take precautions. This is an imperative step, should not be an optional one. And the health of our farm worker families is at stake here. So with that, I just want to reemphasize that having this information will be critical so people can take the necessary precautions to avoid potential harm that may be coming their way. I myself live next to or close to fields, and there are times of the year when they are spraying, and I can see the mist making its way to the neighboring neighborhoods. There are times when my kids that go to school are also in close proximity to fields, and I can also see applicators preparing pesticides and mixing it. And so I wonder, is this something that can potentially cause harm to my kids? And without knowing this exact location when it comes to the restricted material pesticides, then it's really hard to tell. So again, I just want to reemphasize that this is a public health concern. It is also people's right to know concern as well. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to make a public comment.
Thank you, Angel.
Bianca Santoyo.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Bianca Santoyo. I'm a community organizer for Center Race Poverty and the Environment. I'm here in behalf of my community and also through the AB 617 process, an air protection program that we have here in the Valley. We were able to fight for this notification because our ag commissioner repeatedly in multiple occasions has told us that our children need to be poisoned, specifically to myself. He told me that my child needs to be poisoned for him to do any type of action or for him to even notify when there's any pesticide being applied near my daughter's school. That is a frustrating part. We're hearing that from a NAC commissioner, somebody that represents the community, and it's a community-based employee. It's horrific to hear that it's gonna harm the growers when exactly we actually have a notification here in Kern County, which is a grower to grower. Why is it that growers have to protect each other's back because of multiple incidents in Kern County? Why can't our children be protected? Why can't we protect our children and our family, our elderlies, anybody in our communities? Why? Because of profit. It's horrible to see that profit wins over human rights. It's our human right to know what's happening in our community. It's frustrating to hear comments saying that it's going to harm the growers. It's not going to harm the growers. The notice of intent is already through the ag commissioner. There's an extra little work that they have to do, and it doesn't harm anybody. The only thing that harms is your pockets, but you don't see what the benefit is for our communities to at least protect our children, protect our families. For me, it was frustrating to hear that from a NAC commissioner saying that I have to poison my daughter and my child so he could do any type of action. That's why we need state to regulators to enforce this type of notification in the area. And we do need exact location. Why do growers have to notify each other in exact location, but we do not have the right to know where the exact location of pesticide exposure has to be? Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca.
Christina Gutierrez.
Hi, good afternoon. Cristina Gutierrez. I'm a new coordinator with San Joaquin Valley Regional with California for Pesticide Reform. So yes, we are here to say the same thing over and over. And we have the opportunity to go to Turlock to have a couple other hearings as well. And we last went to the one in Shafter. We take families and we take real life and we expose them and we tell them that their story is valuable. It is. We have taken people so that way you could hear them in real life and see them how hard it has been for them to be living with this pesticides and how pesticide has harmed them. We need the exact location. I am a mother of 4. And I think that it's important. And there's the system guides us as parents, take the kids for their vaccine, give them healthy food, give them, this is the pyramid of food, but what are we doing internally? We need to protect our kids. We have the necessity and the obligation to come and speak once again here to inform you that me as a mother, not only as an organizer, not only as a coordinator, we come as community. There's many people that I wish they could come and speak, but the time wouldn't be enough. In that case, I am here. We need the exact location. And I mean, what else? What else can we show you? What else do you need to see? How much more blood do you need to see in order to change our system? I'm talking for my community, my migrant community, and not only Mexicans, because we even had Filipinos, and they even requested information on their language and other languages, not only Spanish and English, but other languages. But in this case, we are informing them that we are standing for the exact location, and that's exactly what we're here for. If you could tell us now, for the people that are here, what else do you guys need to see in order to make this change? What else do you need me to do to have other families safe? If I can get an answer, thank you.
Thank you, Christina.
Jesus, your line is unmuted. Jesus?
Hi, hello, good evening. My name is Jesus Verduzco. I'm the Grants and Communications Manager for Californians for Pesticide Reform, CPR. I'm here today to ask the DPR and the California State Board of Food and Agriculture to please not implement the statewide notification system without specifying and providing us with an exact location. According to the National Institute of Health, the NIH, pesticide exposure or pesticide drift can cause skin irritation, eye irritation, nausea, headaches, and has been correlated to more serious illnesses such as multiple types of cancer. And I would like to highlight the point that providing the exact location is critical to preserving our health, the health of underrepresented communities, farm workers, children, families living within the proximity of pesticide spraying, because it will allow us to take measures such as closing windows, picking a certain field to work in that maybe has not been recently exposed to pesticides, bringing in clothes that are drying on the outdoors so that pesticides do not infiltrate the fabric of the clothes, restricting kids or vulnerable populations such as pregnant women and elderly to be outside near pesticide spraying. And so, again, I would like to reiterate that providing an exact location of the field is a tool for us to be able to protect our health and protect the health of those vulnerable people that we care about. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
David Kong, your line is unmuted. David?
Hi, my name is David Kong. I'm a school board member for the Greenfield Union School District. I'm concerned for many of our students and staff. We have schools that are right adjacent to the fields, and a notification system is very important. And also one that's with exact location, that would be extremely important to help our staff and students prepare in case during sprayings that the schools can take preventive measures to protect the staff and students. But I also want, and I echo for many things that all the people in public comments. But I also wanted to bring to this discussion is that once the notification system is set up, there needs to be regular improvements to the system. You can't just put it up and leave it and say, oh, well, it didn't work. No, you need to have regular comments or public hearings or whatever, or to improve that system on a regular basis. So thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
And our last speaker is Mary Jane. Your line is unmuted.
Have I unmuted?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Okay, good. Mary Jane Galviso from the Rural Communities Resource Center, and I'd like to echo a number of things that folks before me have said. I also attended the meeting in the DPR hearing in Shafter, and came as a member of the Filipino Farmers Cooperative. And we attended because asthma, many Filipinos have asthma. We have a very, very high rate. I've had relatives who've had to move out of our communities here in Orosi Cutler because their asthma was so severe. And so they moved to the coast and miraculously have have recovered, right? But I just wanted to add two things, and that is a little bit of a historical context. And you know, as traditional farmers, we do not spray poisons on our food. And one day I think that, you know, when history is accurately written, we're going to look at that and say, what a bizarre practice. Wasn't that actually stupid that humans at one time actually sprayed poisons on the very food that they were going to eat? When I first started farming here, about it's been a good 20 years ago, I loved walking in the back fields. I would see the bats. I would see, I mean, they would just come out in the evenings, and I knew that they were literally going to eat lots and lots of insects. I would hear and sometimes catch a glimpse of the owls. Well, here it is 20 years later, and I don't see any bats. And I don't see any owls because of the pesticide spraying. And so agribusiness has destroyed the very things that nature put there to manage, you know, and to create an equilibrium among the different creatures and insects that inhabit this. And so that is why agribusiness now resorts to very poisonous and cancer-causing chemicals. The other context I'd like to put is this, that we know that many of these toxics are bad. And if this was practiced in many other countries, it would be seen as criminal activity. And that, in my mind, is what it truly is. When you actually take an action without any regard to the consequences, to the health consequences. And I mean, I'm in constant battle with our neighbor. We're across the street from Palm Elementary School here in Orosi. And I have so tired of calling Agricultural Commissioner Tucker about this, because it's very clear that he's going to shield. He's going to shield Mr. Bates at any cost, you know. So we're not the ones that are of his that concern him. But so in closing,
Mary
I'd like
Jane,
to say, I mean,
could you wrap it up?
yes, I will wrap it up.
You're over.
DPR, you've had $10 million, you've had 4 years, and I think it's time to tell us how many public comments. Everybody who's made a public comment has made it very clear. We need exact location. How many public comments do you need before you do the right thing? Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Josh, do we have any additional comments?
Yes, we do have one from Mark Weller. Mark, your line is unmuted.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Mark Weller. I live in Santa Cruz County, where more than 2/3 of all pesticide use by pounds are pesticides that are banned or not approved in the European Union. My work office is in Monterey County, where Adelone Elementary School is one of the 6 pesticide air monitoring stations we have in California. And Adelone, as well as the other 5, we have had pesticides that have been found in the air above the lifetime cancer risk that the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment set, and that is for the fumigant 1,3-D. But many other restricted pesticides have been found in DPR's testing of the air at schools. So when Alexia Rangel, the student, spoke, I mean, she's speaking from a legitimate fear, something that our own state records say are a problem. It was concerning to me to hear a number of, especially the initial comments from grower representatives, that they don't understand, why people would want this, or, what are the health benefits? Well, the problem is our state regulates pesticides so poorly. 130 pesticides in the state used that are banned in the European Union, right? Regulates them so poorly that we at least want a heads up so we can take the precautions. Many of them you've already heard, to do what we can to reduce the risk of pesticide exposure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm seeing no further public comment at this time.
All right, Josh, thank you. And we appreciate everyone who did make comments to the board today. As you heard earlier, these are public comments are being submitted to the state board, not to DPR. And if you'd like to submit public comment to DPR on the proposed modified text, please submit it to DPR as prescribed in the notification of modification to text available on the DPR website. At this time, we're going to move to any board discussion. Anything from our board?
I see Bryce has his hand raised.
Sorry, Bryce, go right ahead.
Oh, thank you, Don. Well, it was great to hear all the public comments, and it is moving to hear community organizers and the community members share their goals and their needs. My question to you, Don, and to the maybe to Josh is, will the board take up this topic and at maybe our next meeting? But comments have to be in by August 1st, and will we be able to discuss as a board and submit a comment to DPR from the board, or what's your thought on that, Don?
Yep, I think these comments are going to be synthesized together and submitted. Is that correct, Josh?
Yes, so what we would need is I would encourage the board to consider authorizing the board chair or staff to be able to summarize and submit comments to DPR as part of the process to meet the August 1st deadline. But that would require a board motion.
Yep.
Well, I think that's a good idea that our board weigh in and provide comment to DPR. I would make such a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
Yep, well, all right,
The
Glenda or
obvious
Mike.
question is, what kind of comments would we be submitting?
Nope, that's a very fair question, Glenda. I think, Josh, would part of them be related to what we've heard today, and also directly from our board members?
Yes, I mean, it would be comments that we heard today from the public comments received, highlighting key points that were expressed by all individuals, also highlighting the points provided by board members during the discussion.
And Josh, if anybody on our board would like maybe communicate directly to you their positions or their comment, would that be helpful?
Yes, I can definitely do that. Ask for board members to submit comments. I could send a notice out to everyone to send comments directly to me that we would like to be considered for addition.
That sound fair, Glenda?
Yeah, because we have some folks that aren't even here today, for one thing.
No, I agree. That is true. All right, do we have any other discussion?
I support that, right? We can't, it might be hard to have some kind of consensus document, but something that just reflects the views. Yeah, is fine.
I mean, one thing I would like to emphasize is something that a couple of people said is I would rather DPR do this right than do it fast. So if there's still glitches with the software or with how the communication's happening or understanding definitions or understanding anything for that matter, then let's get it right. Because we are putting out, a sustainable pesticide management roadmap here. And there's a lot of other states and a lot of other places looking at us. And I would like California to do it right.
No, I agree with you, Glenda. Some of the issues that are still out there that I think need to be fixed before this goes live. And I think that should be a good message to DPR. Julia, you have your hand up? You're muted. You need to unmute, Julia.
I'm sorry about that.
There we
Hello.
go.
It's been great to hear the presentation of DPR. And also from the community's perspective, I also think just from a biodiversity keystone species, including pollinator standpoint, we need to consider areas of migratory patterns, for instance, of the monarch butterflies and other key areas where biodiversity is being pretty majorly wiped out from pesticides, and how we can also find ways forward with regenerating these areas or converting these key areas to organic. But thank you. It was great to hear public comment on all of this.
All right, do we have any additional discussion?
Michelle and Bryce.
I appreciate hearing all the presentation and hearing all the comments, and at some point maybe we can have a conversation. I'd just like to understand, the trade-offs associated with having a specific locations versus kind of a less specific information too, and I'd appreciate that conversation maybe at our next meeting.
Thanks, Michelle. Bryce and then Mike.
I did hear, loud and clear that specific locations are necessary in order to make personal, individual, and kind of community decisions. And I think information for communities and individuals is powerful in that they can help shape their and be involved in their own kind of health and day-to-day decisions. My hope is that this program can be win-win and foster better relations and better communication, meant for good and not for bad. And I just did want to say that if Kathleen is still on, I do think the idea of organic farms next to schools is a good idea.
Thank you, Bryce. Mike?
as Glenda mentioned, and I think I heard it from some of the speakers from the public. Definitely want to get this thing right. You know, we don't want to come out with something that's mostly right. It has to be right. And so I think that would be the message that I would want to send, that if there's any doubts, maybe there needs to be some more work done before it comes out.
All right. Do we have any other comments, discussion on the motion? Bryce, or pardon me, Bryce. Josh, would you like to do a roll call on the motion?
Yes. Don Cameron,
Aye.
Sinead Acosta,
Aye.
Mike Gallo,
Aye.
Wendy Gimeson,
Aye.
Julia Jackson,
Aye.
Bryce Lindbergh,
Aye.
David Mancera,
Aye.
Michelle Pacera,
Aye.
Joy Sterling,
Aye.
Chris Valdez. Chris? So a motion of 9-0 and 1 abstention, and the motion passes.
All right. Excellent. We'll put those together, and Josh, if you could send out something to the board for any additional comments, that would be, I think that would be helpful.
Yes, sir.
All right. At this point, we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment for any items that are not on the agenda. And if you could limit it to 3 minutes, we would really appreciate it.
Thank you. If you'd like to make comments for items that are not on the agenda, please use your hand icon and I can unmute your line. Again, this would be for comments on items not on the agenda. I'm seeing no public comment at this time.
All right, then at this time, I'd like to really thank everybody for joining us online. Your comments were really appreciated. And for the board for meeting on a Thursday afternoon and going a little long here. Always good to see everybody. Next time we'll be in person, and stay cool, and we'll see you the first part of the month. So thank you again for joining today. And Josh, thank you, Josh. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.